It's not a job, you know, I really love it. It's my life. You know, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else than making pots. I'm John Pollex, and I work here in my house. I'm a potter. I got interested in pottery through a group of friends that I knew in London in the 60s. Well, most of them were poets, painters, musicians, writers. I was a lorry driver at the time, but I'd always wanted to do something creative. One of the guys there was studying ceramics at the Harrow School of Art, where I eventually went. So I found that I could go to Sir John Cass, and interestingly I walked in there and asked to see the person in charge, and this lady came over and she said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to be a potter." And she looked me up and down and said, "Well, you better go home and change and come back this afternoon." And I did that, and that was really the beginning of it. I create mostly what people would call functional pots, like cups, jugs, bowls, teapots, and some sculptural work, hand-built work. However, only the smaller items I really consider would be practical for use, simply because of their size. But you know, bigger things like the teapots and maybe the plates that I make, which I spend a long time painting with my coloured slips, they're more to be sort of looked at rather than used, although they, you know, they could be used. But to cover up a plate with a, you know, cheese and biscuits would horrify me. I'd spent hours painting. Each one I make, although the shape is the same, you know, in a range of pots, say, each piece is individually painted. So there are no two pots the same ever now. And that is really, you know, challenging. For me, you know, all my pots are like paintings of various sizes. So I can go from a small mug like this size, or a tall jug, or a plate, you know, and each one becomes, the surface of the pot becomes my canvas, basically. I think what's important really is seeing the pleasure that other people get from either looking at my work or owning it, or even using it if it was a functional piece that they could, you know, use. I think that that gives me the most satisfaction, and especially now as I'm more well known and people can recognise my work and say, "Oh, I saw your pots at so-and-so's gallery," or "I know somebody who's got some of your pots." It's, you know, that's, the feedback is really encouraging, and that's what keeps me going really, the encouragement that you get from people who like it. They don't all like it, but most of them do. I struggle mostly with getting started really. Sometimes, you know, I haven't got an idea or a shape, and then I'll refer to one of my books, and then you know, I look at a colour or shape and I just put that on, and it leads from there. It's a bit like having an alphabet or a repertoire of shapes, marks, colours, and they're like the pieces in a jigsaw, but you haven't got an image that you're going to fit the pieces together with, and the process of applying the colours and the shapes and the marks kind of comes together, and you're continually looking at the way one colour alters another colour. One colour comes forward, one colour goes backwards. The way I work now, it's much more contemplative, which fits in with my interest in Buddhism and meditation and mindfulness. So, you know, that kind of interest comes into the practice of making pots, because the whole of that practice of mindfulness and Buddhism and meditation is about being in the present moment. And you know, when you're making pots, you can't be sort of looking out the window and trying to throw a pot. So you know, the whole thing has come together really really nicely for me, and that's probably why I enjoy it so much as well. You know, it's just what I do. You know, I mean, uh, you know, when you've got something that you love doing and you pursue it, you know, I mean, why divorce yourself from it? You know, what would I do if I didn't keep going? I'd probably fade away.